The sky over the planet Kerith was filled with smoke. Fire rained down from above. The Varnak ships had returned. The Varnak were not just raiders, they were destroyers. They came to Kerith every few cycles, stealing resources and leaving ruins. Behind, the Kerithians had no real army. They were peaceful farmers, builders, and thinkers. Their defenses had always been weak. This time, the Varnok came in full force. High Counselor Yana stood at the top of the government tower, watching the city below fall apart. The shield generators were failing. The Varnok weapons had torn holes through them like paper. In the skies, Kerith's few defense drones were burning one by one. "We need help," Yana whispered. "But who will come?" Asked her advisor, an older Kerithian named Barrow. "The Galactic Council already refused us. They said it's not their war." "Then we send the call anyway," Yana said. Her voice was steady now. "We send the old signal?" The one locked away. Barrow's eyes widened. "You mean the Earth Code?" Yana nodded. "Yes, the Deathworlders." Far beneath the tower, a hidden room lit up for the first time in decades. Old technology hung to life. A sealed beacon began to glow blue. It carried no words-only coordinates and one ancient symbol, the emergency crest of Earth. When Earth had first joined the Galactic Council many years ago, it brought strength. But after a short time, Earth had stepped back, quietly, mysteriously. Some said they grew tired of politics. Others whispered that Earth had become something else. That day, the Kerithians took the risk. The signal was fired through deep space. Fast, silent, an unstoppable dot in a dark chamber far across the stars. On the edge of the Sol system, something stirred. Inside a facility, buried under the surface of Earth's moon, lights flickered red. The signal had been caught. A figure in a black uniform walked to the console. Signal code, Kerith emergency. Earth-level request. Reinforcement authorization. Deathworld protocol. The man didn't blink. He pressed a single key. Code confirmed. Task force waking now. Back on Kerith, silence returned. The Varnak had retreated after tearing through half the planet. They didn't even fear a counterattack because they knew no one was coming. But in the Kerithian capital, hope burned. For 3 days, the skies were quiet. The people repaired what they could. They watched the stars, praying someone would come. Then, on the 4th day, the stars shifted. No sound. No warning. A black ship appeared in orbit. No bright engines, no greetings, no flags. It was large, flat, and shaped like a hunter's blade. Its surface was strange-like it absorbed light. Inside the capital's control room, alarms buzzed. "It's not Varnak," a tech officer said, staring at the screen. "It's unidentified. No signal. No known design. But it's holding Earth's encryption pattern." Yana stood slowly. "Earth heard us." The ship sent down one small transport. It landed in the courtyard beside the council tower. The hatch opened. What walked out didn't look like soldiers. They were tall, armored head to toe. Helmets covered their faces. Their steps were heavy, slow, controlled. Each one moved like a predator. They said nothing. The crowd stepped back in fear. Burrow whispered, "These are the ones you called?" Yana nodded once. "Yes, the monsters Earth created to answer calls like ours." A younger Kerithian child stared at one of them. The human turned slowly and looked down. For a long second, no one moved. Then the human reached out not with a weapon, but with a small food ration pack. He handed it to the child, then turned back to the group. Yana stepped forward carefully. "We thank you for coming." One of the humans stepped ahead. His voice came through a small speaker in his armor. "You called. We respond. Where are the Varnak?" Yana pointed toward the burned horizon. They attacked. They left. They will come again. The human nodded once. Then they will not leave next time. That night, the Corethians watched as the humans set up strange devices around the city. No one knew what the machines did. No one dared to ask Dot. The humans didn't rest. They didn't talk to each other. They worked like machines. Like they had done this many times before. Whispers spread across the city. Are they even alive? Did Earth build these? Or birth them? Are they here to help or to end the war their own way? But no one dared speak these words. Aloud, they had sent the call. And Earth had answered, not with peace, not with hope, but with monsters. And the monsters had already begun to hunt ** far across the stars. Earth no longer looked like the peaceful homeworld it once was. The Earth, seen by the galaxy, the Earth of artists, traders, diplomats, was long gone from galactic politics. But deep beneath its surface, the true Earth remained hidden, waiting. When the signal from Kerith arrived, it didn't go to politicians. It went straight to a place called Echo Black, an underground fortress beneath the old Siberian range. Cold, silent, deadly in Echo Black. No one asked questions. Commander Hall opened his eyes inside the cryopod. The walls of the chamber were lined with others just like his rows of sealed capsules holding Earth's elite, Deathworld operators. A voice crackled through the speakers. Waking Protocol 49. Emergency signal received. Kerith request confirmed. Varnock aggression verified. Unit 9 activate. Hal A stood slowly. His body ached. Not from pain, but from purpose. He walked toward the war table where a hologram of Kerith hovered. The planet showed recent Varnock strikes, civilian losses, burned cities, children crying on rooftops. He didn't blink. In another part of the facility, a quiet figure was fitting into matte black armor. She moved fast, hands memorizing every motion. Her name was Reed, but among her unit, she was known as the Tracker. Reed watched a small screen show Kerith's distress call again. The voice trembled. The message had desperation in every word. She muttered one sentence. They're not ready for us. Nearby, a quiet man called Bren adjusted the rail cannon strapped to his back. Doesn't matter, he said. The enemy will be. In orbit, the Hunter-class ship Gravewind received its orders. Crew 0 AI. Fully active. Mission. Reinforcement extraction. Clearance. Death protocol confirmed. The ship moved through space like a shadow. It needed no escort, no backup, and no invitation. It activated cloak systems and slipped into faster-than-light jump. The stars around it twisted. Kerith was its destination. The monsters were going home. Back on Kerith, the Corethian Council watched the humans quietly. Their machines had turned on. Strange towers now rose near the city edges, buzzing with energy. One of the younger techs, Luro, ran to Yana with a tablet. Counselor, the humans are intercepting Varnock communications. They're mapping their positions. Yana's voice shook. Without our help? They didn't even connect to our systems, Luro whispered. They brought their own satellites. Burrow walked in behind her, carrying a data slate. Their ship never broadcast a request. No ID tag, no docking code. They don't ask for permission. They just act. That night, the Corethians watched in silence as 4 humans climbed a rocky hill just beyond the city. The lead soldier, Hale, stood with binocular lenses scanning the horizon. The others waited like statues. Suddenly, a red flash blinked on. The map. They're returning, Hale said. Varnock, force smaller than expected. Testing us? Reed asked. No, Bren said. Mocking us. Hale adjusted his glove and pressed a code into the wrist panel. Gravewind, prep silent. Strike. Target grid Delta 4. No warning. No survivors. In space, the Gravewind responded without words. Its underside opened, revealing a sleek projectile not meant for atmosphere. It fired. The weapon moved so fast the sky on. Kareth didn't have time to flash. 1 second, silence, next second, a crater appeared where the Varnock scout base had been. No debris. No bodies. Just scorched stone. In the capital. Carithians panicked. An earthquake? Someone cried. No, said the elder Barrow, looking toward the dark cloud. That was them. A child asked, will they save us? Yana did not answer. Her eyes were locked on the black hill where 4 human shapes still stood. UNMOVING. Back at the hill, Hal turned to his squad. Warpath begins now, he said. The humans descended the hill without a word, their armor reflecting no light. Their mission was not defense. Their mission was elimination. And so, Earth had not just heard the cry, it had answered. And the monsters were walking toward war. Asterisk. The people of Kareth had seen war before, but never like this. When the Varnock attacked, they came in loud, screaming through the skies, tearing down walls, laughing over open channels. But the humans, they didn't scream. They didn't talk. They arrived like shadows and brought silence with them. 4 of them walked through the ruined outer district. The fire still burned. Ash floated in the air. Yet the humans moved without fear, like they belonged there. Every Carithian who saw them took a step back. These weren't soldiers. They were something else. The tallest one wore a thick black exosuit with strange marks across the chest scars from old battles. His helmet didn't shine. It looked scorched, as if it had been through 10 wars and didn't care anymore. Beside him walked a woman in slimmer armor, her arms marked with glowing lines. Her weapon wasn't visible, but her fingers twitched like she didn't need one. The other 2 carried gear no one could identify, something between tools and weapons. One of them had a beast-like drone floating over his shoulder, scanning the ruins. Children peeked from broken windows. Are they alive? One whispered. Do they bleed? Asked another. High Counselor Yana tried to meet them again. She approached. Slowly, her hands raised in peace. The woman in armor turned first. Her helmet tilted slightly. Then she stepped forward. Yana's voice was steady. I am Yana. We are grateful for your help. The human nodded. We're not here for thanks. Then, why are you here? The answer came flat and cold. To end the threat. Do you mean protect us? No, said the human. Protection is a shield. We are the sword. The Carithians followed from a distance as the humans reached the edge of the destruction zone. They found the burned remains of a Varnock dropship. The area was still smoking. One of the humans knelt and scanned the ground. 3 hours ago, he said. Varnock command unit landed, deployed survey teams. Another human tapped a panel on his glove. They're watching us. Let them. The leader growled. He pulled a small box from his belt and dropped it onto the ground. It opened like a flower 6 legs, digging into the dirt. A pulse of energy spread in every direction. What is that? Yana asked quietly from behind. Bait, the woman said. Back on the Varnock ship in orbit. Alarms flashed. Human energy pulse detected. One officer hissed. They're challenging us. The Varnock commander snarled. They're few. Test them. Send the hunting beasts. Moments later, a Varnock pod shot toward the planet. Inside it, 10 bio-beasts, genetically altered killers, howled with hunger. The pod slammed into the surface. Just outside the Carithian capital, dust clouded the air. Screams echoed in the streets. The humans were already moving. The leader raised a hand. No civilian interference. We handle this. As the Varnock beasts charged through the smoke, fangs dripping, claws scraping stone, the humans walked forward. No panic. No words. Just precision. The first Varnock beast lunged at the tall human dot. It never reached him. He moved to the side, lifted one hand, and his armor's forearm split open, releasing a blast of sound and pressure. The beast's chest collapsed mid-air. It hit the ground dead. The second one tried to flank the woman dot. She caught it by the neck barehanded and flipped it over her shoulder like it weighed nothing. And she crushed its throat with one boot. The other two humans moved as one. Their drone fired energy darts that pierced two more beasts. The remaining monsters slowed. They hesitated. The Varnock had built them for war, but no one had trained them to fight Deathworlders. Within 60 seconds, all 10 beasts lay broken on the ground. Not a single human was injured. Not a word had been spoken between them. A stunned silence fell over the Carithian crowd. Then one child began to clap. Then another, and another. Within moments, the ruined square was filled with cheers. But the humans didn't react. They didn't smile. They didn't celebrate. One of them turned to Yana. This was the first test. The real strike will come next. We'll be ready. Yana asked, "Do you always fight like this?" The human paused. "No, sometimes we're worse." That night, the Carithians didn't sleep. Some from fear, some from hope, but all with one thought. Earth sent monsters. And thank the stars. They're on our side. The Varnock returned at sunrise. But this time, they didn't send beasts or scouts. They sent war. 12 black assault ships entered Kareth's upper atmosphere, flying in formation like a pack of metal wolves. Their message was loud, violent, and cruel: surrender or burn. The transmission echoed across every Carithian screen. Varnock warriors grinned from the cum feed. Behind them, chained prisoners screamed proof of what would come if Kareth disobeyed. Yana watched from the command chamber. Her fingers shook. They're going to level the entire city. But Burrow, standing beside her, pointed to the horizon. Look. The humans were already in motion. All 4 of them stood outside the city walls. Behind them, Carithian civilians were being evacuated underground. Ahead of them, the Varnock dropships came lower, preparing to land. No fear in the humans. No orders given. Only silence and movement. The one called Hale pulled out a strange metal box from his back. It unfolded into a long rail platform. He set it on the ground and locked it into place. One by one, the others joined him. Without speaking, they began, placing strange, glowing canisters along the rail. Yana saw the setup on her city's cameras. What are they doing? Luro, the young tech officer, whispered, "Ma'am, that's not a weapon." "What is it then?" "It's a message." The Varnock landed hard. 5 ships touched down near the city's western edge. Their warriors poured out, dozens of them, armored, armed, ready to slaughter anything that moved. They didn't expect resistance. After all, this was a farming world. Then the ground began to hum. The humans had activated the rail. The pods they placed suddenly launched one after another into the sky like arrows of light. The Varnock paused. They looked up. Mistake. From above. The pods opened. Each one released a shockwave of pulsing blue energy. It didn't explode. It erased. The sky above the Varnock went white for half a second. Then every electronic device they carried, guns, ships, comms, shorted out. Screams rose. Their weapons were useless. Their sensors went blind. Their targeting vanished. And then the humans walked in. Bren was the first to strike. He moved like a shadow across the battlefield. Without his rail cannon, he was still a storm. A single punch crushed a Varnock's helmet. A spinning kick shattered another's spine. Reed followed behind. She danced between the confused enemy, disabling 3 with her bare hands. She didn't kill unless necessary, but when she did, it was fast. The other 2 humans moved side by side. Their armor released sonic pulses that knocked entire squads off their feet. One of them pulled a small blade, no longer than a finger, and with it sliced clean through a Varnok commander's chest plate. In the control room, Yana watched the battle unfold. At first, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Then her hand covered her mouth. "They're not fighting." "What do you mean?" Burrow asked. "They're hunting." The Varnok tried to flee. Some ran to their dropships. But the moment they reached them, the ships exploded. Small black drones had latched onto the engine's minutes, earlier placed quietly during the humans. Approach. No escape. No mercy. One by one, the Varnok fell. Not in a chaotic battle, but in clean, efficient strikes. Within 6 minutes, the ground was quiet. Only human boots crunched across the ash. One Varnok captain survived. He crawled away, bleeding from 3 wounds. His gun was useless. His helmet cracked. He raised his hand in surrender. "Please," he hissed. "We didn't know Earth still had soldiers like you. We thought you were gone." A human stepped forward, his face still hidden by a black helmet. He said only one thing: "We are what you created." Then he pulled the trigger. That evening, no celebration was held. The Carithians stood in silence as the human team returned to the city. The bodies of the Varnok burned in neat piles, far from the homes. One elder walked to Commander Howley. He bowed low. "We were afraid of you when you landed. Now, we still are. But we are alive, and that means more than fear." Howley didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just nodded once, then turned to leave. Up in orbit, the Gravewing ship waited, still silent. Still watching. It sent one transmission to Earth. Phase 1 complete. No resistance remaining. Awaiting orders for counter-invasion. Earth wasn't finished. This wasn't about defense anymore. It was time to strike back. Asterisk. The smoke had barely cleared. Kareth's sky returned to peace, and its people began crawling out of shelters, shaking, confused, thankful. But while the Carithians started to rebuild, the humans didn't stop. They didn't rest. They didn't celebrate. They began building something new. Strange machines rose at the city's edge, tall towers with black plates and glowing coils. No one knew what they were. They hummed low and pulsed with deep blue light. Yana stood on the council balcony, watching the humans work. She turned to Burrow. "We're safe now, aren't we?" Burrow frowned. "They aren't making defenses, Yana." "What are they making?" He looked at the rising towers with heavy eyes. "They're building a launch gate." In the field, Commander Hall oversaw the deployment. His team worked with perfect coordination. Bren installed the core drives, while Reed mapped the gravity lines. The AI drone rotated above them, scanning the sky, watching for anything unusual. A Carithian engineer finally gathered the courage to approach. "What is that thing?" he asked nervously. Reed glanced at him, then at the machine. "Strike Spire." "Strike." "What?" She wiped her hands. "It bends space. Creates a temporary jump tunnel. A doorway." "To where?" Reed's voice was calm. "Their home world." Yana called an emergency meeting in the Capitol Tower. "We asked them to save us," she said, pacing. "Now they're preparing for war. Not there, on Varnok soil." Luro, still pale from the battle, said quietly, "Maybe that was always their plan." "No," Burrow replied. "This is something deeper. Earth doesn't fight for land. They fight for memory." "What memory?" Burrow leaned forward. "The last time the galaxy ignored Earth's warnings, millions died. Earth never forgets." The next morning, the Strike Spire activated. A blinding arc of energy reached into the sky and opened a tier in space. Through it, the Carithians saw something impossible. A second Earthship was waiting, larger than the first. Long, armored, and black like a blade. Its name glowed in red on the side. Void Maw. The Corethians stared in awe as the new ship slipped through the rift like a ghost. Yana turned to Hall, who stood watching with no expression. More of your people? He nodded. Phase 2. What's Phase 2? Halle looked down at her. And the war before it spreads. Back on the Void Maw, more soldiers emerged. Not just 4 this time, 20. Each one clad in armor that seemed to hum with barely contained power. They looked at Kareth with blank faces, no emotion, no hesitation. They weren't here to help. They were here to finish. Inside a briefing room, deep within the mall, a quiet conversation took place between the two commanders. Halle stood beside a holomap showing the Varnuk sector military bases, resource lines, known warlords. Target priority? Ask the new arrival. Halle pointed. Strike these 3 worlds. Cut the supply lines. Hit their core breeding facilities. Leave the rest as a message. Message to who? Everyone else watching. Meanwhile, Corethians began to fear the humans again, the way they moved, the way they planned destruction with cold precision. Some whispered that maybe it had been better when no one answered the distress call. But others remembered the burning skies, the Varnuk screams, the helplessness, and they said nothing, because fear was better than death. That night, Reed stood at the city wall, watching children play in the dust. A small Corethian girl approached her and tugged at her armor. Are you going to fight the bad ones again? Reed looked down. Her voice was soft. Now? Yes, the girl hesitated. Will you come back? Reed didn't answer for a long moment. Then she said, If I do, I'll bring quiet with me. At dawn, the mall launched its strike teams. The tier in space opened wide. The Deathworlders walked through it, without looking back. The Corethians watched the rift close behind them. Yana stood at the tower, heart heavy. We begged for help. She said. Burrow nodded beside her. And Earth answered with monsters. She shook her head slowly. No, not monsters, just humans. And that's what makes it worse. Asterisk, the rift opened over a forgotten world in Varnuk territory. The planet was cold, dark, and soaked in ash. Smoke covered the sky. Below, a fortress stretched across the land-black towers, spiked walls, and factories that never stopped burning. This was Dravok Prime, the Varnuk's main warforge. And now, Earth was here. Out of the rift came the Void Maw, moving silently, ignoring the defense warnings broadcast from the surface. The Varnuk had not seen Earth's fleet in decades. They assumed humans had grown soft. They were wrong. 20 Deathworlders, dropped from orbit like falling meteors. No engines, no pods, just armor and will. They landed hard, craters forming where they hit. The shockwaves cracked the Varnuk roads. The defenders inside the fortress looked out, confused. Only 20? One of them laughed. Is this a joke? Commander Krosk, the Varnuk warlord in charge, stepped forward and bared his teeth. Kill them fast. Send the heavy units. 10 minutes later, the gates opened. Out came armored mechs, artillery crawlers, and 200 elite Varnuk warriors. Each bred for destruction. They thought it would be easy. Then the humans moved. They didn't fire first. They walked straight ahead, no cover, no warning, no fear. The Varnuk opened fire. Blasters, cannons, drones, smoke and chaos filled the battlefield. But when it cleared, the humans were still standing. Not a single one had fallen. One had even caught a plasma round with his energy shield and thrown it back, using it like a spear. Then came the reply. The first human charged forward and slammed into a Varnuk tank with his shoulder. The metal cracked. The tank flipped over. 2 others moved like shadows, slipping between the enemy lines, planting charges on the war machines. Explosions lit the night. Reed and Bren moved as a team, silent, sharp, unstoppable. She disabled enemies with lightning fast strikes. He crushed them with quiet fury. A Varnoke commander screamed, "They're not soldiers, they're demons." But the demons didn't stop Dot in a tower above the battlefield. Krosk watched in disbelief. They're not using formations, not even strategy. They fight like animals. A Varnic advisor whispered, trembling, "They don't need strategy. They are the strategy." Krask bared his teeth again. "Then we wipe this place ourselves." He turned and entered the control chamber. His hand slammed onto the command orb. "Activate the Forge Core. If they want war, give them everything." Far below, the ground shook. A loud mechanical roar echoed across the land. From deep inside the fortress, the Varnak released their final weapon, a Titan-class biomech, a massive beast grown in labs. Part machine, part nightmare. It was taller than a city tower, its mouth filled with grinding metal, its legs like walking factories. It stepped out with a scream that shattered stone. Even the humans paused, but only for a second. Commander Hall raised his hand. "Split formation. I'll draw it. The rest burn the heart." As the Titan roared forward, Hawley sprinted straight at it, dodging blasts of fire and poison gas. He jumped onto its leg, climbed like a spider, planted explosives at the joints. Others moved underground, finding tunnels, corridors, fuel lines. One by one, they began to plant charges above. The Titan turned toward the main base. Confused, something was wrong. Its legs failed, its chest groaned. Then the entire lower body detonated a perfect blast from within. It fell, crashing down on the fortress walls. The Varnock screamed in panic. The Deathworlders emerged from the dust. Walking slow, heads held high. Hawley stepped through the smoke, armor scorched, weapons still glowing. In his control room, Warlord Krask tried to run. He never made it. Reed appeared in front of him, silent, eyes glowing. "No last words?" He spat. She tilted her head. "You're not worth them." She ended it cleanly. The battle for Dravak Prime lasted exactly 31 minutes. When it was over, the Warforge was gone. The Deathworlders didn't stay. They left behind a signal beacon. One message played over and over on Varnoke frequencies. "You touched what you shouldn't. This was only the beginning." Back on Kareth, a signal came in. Luro read it out loud. "Target eliminated. Phase 2 complete. Secondary objectives underway." Yana leaned back in her chair, cold sweat on her face. "They're not just winning," she said. "They're rewriting the rules." Burrow whispered. "They begged for help, and Earth sent extinction." The Warforge at Dravak Prime burned for days. No one came to put out the fires. No Varnic dared return. The smoke could be seen from nearby systems. To some, it looked like victory. To others, it was a warning written in flame. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Earth has returned. The monsters are real, and they fight for no one but justice. Back on Kareth, the skies were finally calm. Birds returned. Children played again in the streets where ash once covered everything. But the people were different now. They had seen death. They had seen what it took to stop monsters. And strangely, what had saved them looked even worse than what tried to destroy them. The humans came back after 10 days. The same black rift opened above the city. This time, no ships, no weapons. Just 4 armored figures walking through the gate like shadows, returning from a long hunt. They carried nothing but silence. The Carethians gathered to watch quietly. Respectfully, some waved. Others bowed. But no one spoke. Because how do you speak to creatures who kill gods? Yana waited at the council steps, her heart beating fast. Commander Hall stopped in front of her. She looked at his armor, still marked with deep scars from the battle on Dravok Prime, you came back, she said softly. We always do, he replied. Why? You could have left after the first attack. Why keep fighting? Hale paused. His voice came low through the helmet speaker. Because war isn't over when enemies fall. It's over when fear ends. Behind him, Reed knelt beside a small girl, the same one who had given her a flower. Before the battle, the girl looked up and smiled. You didn't bring quiet, Reed chuckled under her helmet. Not yet, but we're getting close. Later that night, the council invited the humans to speak inside the Great Hall. Cameras were set up. The entire planet watched. Hale stood. At the center. His helmet was off for the first time. His face was not cruel, not angry, just tired. He spoke in simple words. You called. We came. The threat is gone for now. But others will watch you now. Some with fear. Some with greed. Be ready. Be united. Earth cannot always come. But we came once. That should be enough. Someone from the audience asked, why help us at all? Hale looked around the room. Then he said quietly, because once we were like you, helpless, left to burn, and no one came. The room fell silent. As dawn rose the next morning, the humans prepared to leave again. Their ship, the Void Maul, waited silently beyond the upper clouds. Yana met them at the edge of the landing platform. Will we see you again? Hale didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked toward the sky. Then he said, you'll never see us coming, but you'll know we were there. Reed stepped closer and offered something small to the Corethian girl, a badge, shaped like a star with a black edge. Keep this, she said. It means you're one of us now. The girl's eyes widened. Does that mean I'm a monster too? Reed knelt. No, it means you're strong enough to scare the monsters back. The black ship rose. No engines flared. No engines needed. It vanished into the stars. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. The Varnoke Empire fractured. Some warlords fled. Others surrendered outright when Earth's signal beacons were found on their planets. A few arrogant species protested. They called Earth's return dangerous, uncontrolled, even terrifying. But not one of them took action, because everyone remembered the message left behind on Dravok Prime. Do not ask for Earth, unless you're ready for what comes. Back on Kareth, peace finally felt real. Children drew pictures of black-armored giants with glowing eyes protectors. Not monsters. Elders told stories of the day. Beasts came from the stars not to destroy, but to defend. And when people looked up at the night sky, they didn't just wonder who was out there. They wondered if they were watching. Because in the end, Earth didn't just send warriors. It didn't just send weapons. It sent a message carved into legend. We are Deathworlders. We don't save the day. We end the nightmare. And somewhere in the dark, the nightmare now feared waking Earth. Asterisk.